The Sony Xperia 1 Mark V and the iPhone 14 Pro Max are both flagship smartphones from their respective companies, Sony and Apple. While they are both top-end devices, there are notable differences between the two that extend beyond the typical iOS versus Android debate. These distinctions can make the decision of choosing between the two more challenging for potential buyers. To assist you in making the best purchase, we have put together a list of the top 5 differences between the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V and the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Okay, let's start with the biggest and most obvious difference. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark V ships with Android 13, while the iPhone 14 Pro Max ships with iOS 16. The two mobile operating systems take entirely different methods, with Apple providing a more tightly controlled experience than the more open Android OS, albeit there is something to be argued for Apple's level of polish and hardware-software integration. Even said, there are many capabilities on Android that are not present on iOS, as well as a high degree of customization possible. You're probably already in the iOS or Android camp, and there won't be much that can persuade you to change, so you'll probably base your purchase only on this consideration, but yet let's disregard that for the time being. The amazing 6.7-inch screen on the iPhone 14 Pro Max features Apple's ProMotion display technology, which enables the device to run at up to 120 Hz and as little as 1 Hz in an effort to conserve battery life. When viewing HDR, the OLED panel's peak brightness of 2000 nits is also brilliant and detailed. In fact, we said in our review that it ticked all the boxes. Even yet, the resolution of the 6.5-inch Sony Xperia 1 Mark V outperforms the iPhone 14 Pro Max in a vital department. While the iPhone 14 Pro's 1290 by 2976 resolution isn't bad, it can't match the 4K 1644 by 3840 resolution offered by the Xperia 1 Mark V, one of the few smartphone lines on the market with a 4K panel. As a result, you will be able to fully enjoy each pixel in the 4K videos you capture, and the Xperia 1 Mark V's display will genuinely bring 4K content to life. Additionally, while not viewing 4K material, it will automatically switch to a battery-friendly Full HD+. The iPhone 14 Pro Max has a trick up its sleeve in the form of Dynamic Island, despite the fact that the Xperia 1 Mark V may have the better resolution display of the two flagships. The Dynamic Island, which was first shown on the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max, effectively turns the iPhone's notch cutout into a feature rather than a nuisance. The phone integrates the notch into the primary experience with iOS 16 and modifies its appearance to show useful information like media controls, timers, battery status notifications, and more. It can even be used to monitor real-time sports scores in compatible apps and display the most recent order information from compatible takeaway apps. Even though it's a gimmick, it's a highly useful one that hasn't been implemented by other Android competitors, at least not yet. It should not be a surprise that the Xperia 1 Mark V boasts advanced camera technology, since Sony is the company that created the Sony Alpha DSLR camera range. The 52-megapixels XMOR-T sensor, which features a special 2-layer transistor inside the CMOS, is the main attraction. According to Sony, this sensor should perform better in low light than the Xperia 1 Mark IV, with a 2x improvement. The manufacturer asserts that it can compete with the quality of conventional DSLR thanks to a significantly larger sensor than before. Nevertheless, we'll put that audacious claim to the test once we receive a sample for review. Twin 12-megapixels ultra-wide and telephoto lenses, the latter of which has a 5.2x optical zoom capability, are placed on either side of it. The iPhone 14 Pro Max, on the other hand, has the first 48-megapixel sensor in the history of the iPhone and uses pixel binning and Apple's image processing technology to produce clear, bright pictures and improved low-light performance, though it's still not quite as good as some of the best Android options. While the Xperia 1 Mark V's 12-megapixels ultra-wide camera is comparable, its 3.5x optical zoom telephoto lens is inferior to that of its Android competition. It may come as a surprise that the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V costs even more, though obviously not by a significant amount, given that the iPhone 14 Pro Max is the most expensive option in Apple's high-end smartphone lineup. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark V starts at $1,299, while the iPhone 14 Pro Max is priced at a cool £1,199. Therefore, whichever style you prefer, your money account will undoubtedly suffer. For those interested in Sony's ultra-high-end smartphone, the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V will be released sometime in June, but the iPhone 14 Pro Max is currently freely available for purchase. Ultimately, the choice between the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V and the iPhone 14 Pro Max depends on individual preferences. The Xperia 1 Mark V excels in display quality, multimedia capabilities, and Android customization, making it an attractive option for those who prioritize media consumption and customization options. On the other hand, the iPhone 14 Pro Max shines in terms of performance, camera capabilities, software integration, and the overall iOS ecosystem, appealing to users who value a seamless user experience and the Apple ecosystem. Therefore, prospective buyers should consider their priorities, such as display preferences, camera usage, operating system preferences, and ecosystem integration, to make an informed decision between these two top-end smartphones. What do you think about these phones? Write your opinion in the comments. Thanks for watching, have a nice day and see you soon.